Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to This Week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. This week's show, we're going to recap Fight to Win 154 that was headlined by John Thor Blank versus Manuel Ribimar. We're going to talk about Fight to Win 155 taking place in Philadelphia that's actually just had its headliner changed. We're going to talk about Quintet Fight Night 5. We're going to preview that happening October 27th, and we're going to preview Fight League Atlantic's Grappling upcoming pay-per-view as well. As with this show, on the show, I'm your host, Maine, with my co-host,
Emil.
How you doing, Emil?
Good on take two here.
Man, we didn't have the video recording going, and I went, all right, let's do it again.
Yep.
So, if you make it to we also have some really funny stories for the outro section of the show this week. So if you make it that far, you are in for a treat from both ends. We both have a good story that happened for this week. Let's kick it off with a little bit of news. Spider Korea has announced that they are postponing their under 65 kilogram championship that was supposed to take place, I think, this week or next week. They have announced that it has been postponed. I think into 2021 probably. They've postponed it a couple of times, and they had one, and then it's been postponed since. So it looks like it has now been postponed again. You know, when they come back, it'll be outstanding. They always run great events. They always have huge payouts. So that's news. In other news,
the Ruotolo Brothers got promoted
to brown belt in under a year, and everyone in the entire community went, that's reasonable. Yeah, yep. I can see that. If anyone's going to get promoted in like beyond any requirement whatsoever, it's like, yeah, Andre Galvao promoting like some of the youngest competitors at ADCC who've also looked stellar since that run. That's reasonable. They can now compete as adults.
Yeah, so, which should have been the case a long time ago.
No, it shouldn't have been. You should be fighting kids until like you're not a kid, and then you be the king of the kids, and you move into the adult class. If you want to fight adults on super fights and other stuff, by all means, I'm down for it. But I've had to fight too many kids in my brackets, and they're very good, and it's very hard, Emil. Keep fighting kids, and then when I go to Masters, you can come into adult. That's how this works. So, yeah, congrats to them. Super excited to see how they look against adult brown belts. Really in the gi, we've seen them in adult for, a year and a half, 2 years now in no-gi. And we kind of know how they look, stellar and fantastical.
Yep.
So it would be cool to see them in brown. I think they are eligible to compete in IBJJF. In January of 2021 is how that works out for them. I think that there's a bunch of weird requirements for juveniles, and I do not know any of the juvenile regs, but I know that basically they're not quite eligible yet because you do have to spend a year at purple, but IBJJF relaxed the 24-month purple belt requirement for previous juveniles like a couple of years ago. It's a whole big thing. Very well deserved. Super excited to see who they're going to fight next. What else we got for news? Let's see. Weird thing. So we're going to preview Quintet this week, even though Quintet Fight Night 5 takes place on October 27th, because that is a Tuesday, and with the Japanese time, I don't know if it's going to be happening that morning or the afternoon, and so basically, by the time you get the show out, the preview would have already, like the event would basically be already happening or just about to happen, so people wouldn't get a chance to listen to the preview of it before the show happens, so we decided to preview it this week because it's going to abut next week's show. That's all I got for news. Do you have any other news, Emil?
Mm-mm.
All right, so last bit of news. This show gets going to get all cut up this week for no reason. IBJJF has, actually not even announced, like IBJJF has rumored to be including heel hooks in the new set of rules moving forward to 2021. IBJJF revamps their rulebook every 2 years, and an article came out this week from Flow Grappling and a bunch of news articles. They were basically on IBJJF 2021, they're going to have heel hooks in. We've been talking about this for the last, I think, 18 months ago. We heard about that there was a discussion, there were meetings with IBJJF and really high-level, top-level coaches that they were going to include them. I think I've listened to Robert Drysdale talk about it this week. We've seen Andre Galvao talk about it last week. It seems like a real thing, although the IBJJF at this point in time has not released an official statement stating it is going to be the case. So, full disclosure, this is totally rumors, but it's rumors from some of the top coaches in the world that were part of these meetings within the IBJJF, so it's probably on good authority that it's going to happen. It's also, we've been hearing about it for a year and a half that it was going to happen, so, but a pretty crazy time. I think you would have told me 4 years ago the IBJJF would be entertaining adding heel hooks into black and brown belt divisions in no-gi. I would have said you were crazy.
Right.
But, so, I don't think this really is going to change, like, a whole lot for who your champs are.
Absolutely, it's going to change. Here, I'm going to read to you the 2019 champs.
I love how like now it's just gonna be like this is the next like 2 minutes is like why Maine's wrong. Why Maine's statement is wrong. With data from Emil.
So we have 55.
Wait. Remember that 2019 is a weird year because it's an 80cc year, so it's historically a less attended year.
Do you want me to go to 2018?
Does it support my argument or not, Emil? Let's go to 2019 and let's talk about 2018.
I mean,
Let's go 20. Let's see what you're doing for.
All right, Taliesin Soares in 55.
Okay.
Thiago George next up. Alessandro Sodre. Johnny Tama. Dante Leon. Manuel Ribimar. Adam Wardzinski. Vinicius Gazzola. And Cyborg. No, that's Gazzola.
Gazzola's I always want to make anyone.
Victor Hugo took the Open.
Yeah, because he kneebar Cyborg.
Right.
At the end.
So
Dante doesn't change.
Dante definitely. I love Dante, but like,
who is heel hook and Leon?
I mean,
silver medalist ADCC.
Yeah,
right?
But he didn't win ADCC.
He didn't win ADCC, but who beat him at ADCC?
I love Dante Leon. Dante Leon's a man.
I love Dante
I definitely
Leon as well.
think his ceiling we haven't seen yet, and he could, but he is not. He hasn't. Aside from Nogi Worlds, obviously, like, you know.
But I just don't think heel hooks changed. What won Dante?
You think Johnny Tama wins?
Mm-hmm. The Johnny Tama that showed up this last year at Nogi Worlds potentially wins. Here's the thing: is I don't think that reaps and heel hooks change a couple of these champions. Now hearing some of the champions, I'm like, they definitely do change.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's go to 2018. Let's go to 2018
and further.
So 2018 actually has more distribution of big names
because it was not an ADCC year.
Well, but then it's got other people that are like word. So you have Nobuhiro Sawada.
Okay.
You have Joao Miao. Okay.
Yeah.
You have Kennedy Maciel, who again, great competitor. I don't think he hasn't.
I mean, he placed the ADCC. He was in the finals. Like, bro.
Again, no, dude.
I don't think heel hooks changed his game that much.
I absolutely. It's not necessarily does it change his game. It's like who all of a sudden goes in there and now has a completely new set of weapons to attack with. You know what I'm saying?
But I feel like we've seen a lot of these guys in
Next
ADCC.
one up.
Okay.
Johnny Grippo. Again,
okay.
Johnny's the man.
Yeah.
He's done some really impressive shit.
But in ADCCs, historically, he has had some struggles.
Yeah, he's knocked out round 1 in ADCC, I think, this
both
past
years or just this year?
Next one up from that, Hugo Martinez. Next one up from that, Josh Hinger. Again, Josh Hinger's the fucking man.
Placed, medaled at ADCC. I just don't think the addition of heel hooks changes that.
I think it absolutely changes this. Next one up from that, Tim Spriggs. Tim Spriggs has
multiple wins at ADCC.
ADCC, we see him dominate at Fight to Win.
I just don't think the addition of heel hooks significantly changes.
I absolutely think. I 100% think.
I think
now all of a sudden
we'll see changes in champions.
What happens with a John Thor entering this shit?
Jesus,
right? What happens with Craig Jones?
Someone text Johnson.
Craig fucking Jones.
That's a good point.
Fucking Lachlan Giles.
That's a good point.
All of a sudden, these guys get fucking really dangerous, and all
of a sudden, guys whose game is predicated, we don't see it all, are in here. Okay, I can say that. I do think that we are going to see certain guys that historically have not been leg lock guys be okay and be able to deal with it in the IBJJF rules. It's going to be scary as shit.
Yeah, I'm saying it's going to shift things around a lot, and yeah.
So reaps and heel hooks for 2021, potentially for 2021
yeah.
in the IBJJF. There's been some great posts this week of hey, what's your excuse now? When it's there's no, now it's all the guys are there's no heel hooks. Now it's okay, cool, what's your excuse? I still have plenty of excuses why I probably won't do an IBJJF, but it's not can't be the rule set anymore. It's got to be price or to do for the sport. It's got to be a bunch of other reasons now. I am just happy to see that this next year we are going to have a black belt world champion in IBJJF at a Nogi event where I did not feel like the rule set was neutered by an old school mentality. And it's cool to see the sport in my lifetime. It's cool to see the sport make a big change like this back to if you can do it, you're there. We're not doing slams yet. We're not doing certain cranks yet, but I do appreciate that, a big change is happening. It's cool to be kind of on the forefront of watching. I'm super excited to have watched as much competitive grappling as I've watched, because your data is probably going to be correct, as it usually is.
It's not. I mean, it's definitely my opinion, and like
the opinions of Emil do not represent.
Also, these guys are everyone that I
do.
listed is insanely fucking talented.
Yeah.
And could definitely like is at that level, but
Yeah,
like there are some people.
There's also going to be a bunch of new talent that we just haven't seen in the IBJJF in a while.
My gripe with no-gi worlds for the longest time is that doing well in no-gi worlds doesn't necessarily tell you how you're going to do in another tournament, another like big tournament.
Yeah.
But how you do in another big tournament is going to tell me how you do at no-gi worlds. You see what I'm saying?
Reasonable. Yep. I see the parallel. I see the point that you're making now more so.
So for example, I didn't finish 2018, but like you had Kainan Duarte and then Gordon Ryan winning his division, and absolute. Both of those guys have won ADCC, and so that tells me a lot about how they're going to perform at Nogi Worlds.
Yeah, the best guy in the world at ADCC is probably the best guy in the world at Nogi. He can probably go and win Nogi Worlds. But we've always kind of talked about that. And that's why I think the implementation of heel hooks isn't necessarily going to change. The best guys that were going to win ADCC could have done with or without heel hooks. That's my point. Like Matheus Diniz can go and win Nogi Worlds.
They don't really fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? It's
right, because why would I go win the other tournament if I've won the good tournament?
Right.
That's my point.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm hoping that I'm hoping it makes everyone better.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's really I hope we get more dope grappling, because there's now more stuff you can do. 50-50 in IBJJF is going to become terrifying, and I'm ready for it.
I am so ready for it.
I'm so ready to get I'm so ready for 50-50 to be absolutely terrifying again. Like, hashtag make 50-50 terrifying.
By the way,
again.
did you see the Mendes brothers had a post today?
No, I did not.
So they posted, and it was Guy posting it, and he was showing some really nice sweep variations from 50-50. And the whole post was like, people didn't really like 50-50 when it came out, but, my brother Hafa, like, used it to beat Cobrinha, like, when he was 19, or whatever, and everyone was like, and then he used it again to take Cobrinha's back in their last. I was like, God damn, this is like, let me tell you about 50-50 and how it's worked against specifically Cobrinha. Like,
they still don't like Cobrinha, which is hilarious. So, I've heard over the years, I've heard some really great Mendes brothers stories, both primary from them and secondary, about like the rivalry with Cobrinha.
Yeah.
Like, to this day, still a little salty, and it makes I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I just appreciate that. Like, I appreciate when guys hold a grudge a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny. It's as per usual.
Big changes. So let's move into the recap section. This is going to get cut in because the show is all out of order this week, because we forgot that this was news, because it was so big we didn't write it down. All right, want to kick it off right into the recap section?
Let's do it.
All right, so kicking it off with the recap of Fight to Win 154. I'm trying to find payouts. They're not. Yep.
Where was this?
Philly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, first time they've been outside of Texas,
yeah.
in like 6 months.
Yeah, a long time.
So it's cool to see some different grapplers, and again, those Texas cards have been dope. So I've been really happy about those. But it's cool to see some more local talent from our side of the country, just because we're so used to the Philly grapplers and like those cards. It's cool to see some Philly talent, and again, it's headlined by John Thor Blank versus Manuel Ribimar. Do you want to start with that one?
Let's do it.
All right. So John Thor Blank winning by heel hook, taking the middleweight championship in Nogi.
With authority, man.
Dude.
Manuel,
is that a play on words, authority?
No, it was not intentional.
I didn't know if it was intentional or not.
Good.
I was going to roll my eyes super hard if it was.
Manuel did a good job surviving an initial leg entanglement attack. Did a really good job pummeling his legs and getting the legs inside and clearing enough space to get his knee line out.
And then just pulling his knee out. In this first entry here from John, it's the exact same entry that he hits at Adam Wardzinski at their Grapple Fest match, the finishing sequence. What I love about John is the way John grabs the leg in this initial sequence is super goon. Like, there's great technique here, but it looks super goon because John will grab your leg. He'll like kind of leg drag you, but he rips your leg to the center of his chest, and he'll just hold your foot on his chest and kind of adjust where he wants to go and keep pulling your knee line through. But he does it on the center of his chest and just holds it there, and he looks far stronger than he should be allowed to be when doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same kind of motion where, like, if you can envision grabbing a rope and pulling yourself up with two hands, it's the exact reverse direction, right? Like, where he's like lifting with like insane strength.
But I love it because like a lot of guys will. We talked about it in the pre-show about how we're going to break down this particular entry. A lot of guys will get like overzealous and will go through that sequence very quickly. What John does is
they'll kind of skip over it, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
well, John will hold you in the center of his chest for a while, and he'll like ease his hips up, and he'll get your leg and your knee line far enough in that then he can turn you over to the heel hook or the ankle lock or whatever he's going for, and he's super patient there.
You're right.
While he's like ridiculously strong and just holding you to his body.
A lot of us who are like impatient with heel hooks will grab the leg and immediately shove it into the armpit to start getting the actual attack.
Right.
And the more I've watched people like John Thor, the truly exceptional leg lockers do this step first. It's kind of like locking a trap triangle before going for the submission triangle first, where it's like you get the control first. Lachlan Giles did this.
See, when Lachlan does it, though, it looks different to me. Like, Lachlan looks like he's holding himself to you.
Right.
When Thor does it, it looks like he's pulling you into him. Like, it just looks so much more aggressive.
Yeah.
And it's just cool because not many guys like can like hang out on the leg on the chest as much as Thor does. It's something like particular to like how he does it, where he's like pulling you in and dragging the knee line up as you're rolling, and then he's sliding into the heel hook. So that's just the first entry. Ribimar's able to do a really great job and get out of that.
Yep.
But John's not done.
Right. So John is basically in butterfly half guard, which for any proficient leg locker is danger zone.
Not the place you want to be. Like, cool, I don't want to be passing from this position. Ribimar actually initially in this match takes bottom position, and I was like, that's actually like, it's like
it's savvy, yeah.
Yeah, like because you don't Thor, like a couple guys that you really don't want to be on the top of, and it's like Craig and Lachlan and Thor and even like Gordon, like guys that are just they're gonna get under, or like guys like Rao, like they're gonna get underneath you. And that's bad. So if you like take bottom position, then they're forced to do initially what Thor does and drop back in the leg drag to go for the ankle lock. But once Thor is able to get bottom position, which is so weird to kind of talk about it in this way for Nogi, man, he starts to go.
So he does the standard kind of inversion on the far leg into saddle. Does a great
really
job.
Quick lock up to saddle too.
Yeah.
Like you can tell just how well drilled. That's again why it's a black belt Nogi title fight, because Thor is really good at that entry. Enters off the back of his shoulder and like the top of his head. He's able to. I love it because when he lands in this like the outside leg triangle position, he doesn't have to continue locking his legs up. Like he lands and they hit the mat, he's already locked into the leg position. It's really nice to see him be able to lock that up from the inversion, as opposed to having to get there and then sort of make the final adjustments once they land. He's already able to start pulling down for the leg when they land.
Yep, and it's all downhill from there basically. So he gets the heel hook finish.
Inside heel hook and takes the middleweight title. If you're curious about this match, I'm gonna watch this match because it's a fun match. It's a good match to watch. Watch the hand fight from the butterfly half guard right before John inverts. There's some really interesting stuff that John does with how he like presses the hands before he inverts to give him a little more distance and angle on the inversion. It's just really, really great technique. Deservedly, top of the card. Good match for both guys.
Next up, we have Junny Ocasio arm-barring Jose Carlos Lima.
Yeah, it's listed as triangle in the results, and like it's kind of from the back, triangle from the back, but it's totally an armbar finish.
Yeah. So, and in this case, Ocasio retains the bantamweight title in Nogi for the black belts at Fight to Win. Sorry, I have my notes written out, and I'm not going from the flow results anymore that have the titles listed out, because the new flow results don't list the titles out, but Grappling Insider does list the titles out. We're in a transitional period, Emil. Yeah, I know, crazy. This is good back and forth. Junny starting off with a dope tornado sweep sort of leg entanglement entry. Jose evades it by going towards the edge of the mat. This plays into how the finish occurs.
A little bit, Emil, yes. Yeah. So Jose, for a good portion of the beginning of the match, is really maintaining his distance from Ocasio, and like he's doing a lot of circling out. He's doing a lot of like resetting to the center. He's doing a lot of Like, I'm going to mess with you in the distance and get you to come in to sort of maybe be able to get a pass off of it. But Junny stays, not regimented is the right word, but like
disciplined
he's used to this game.
and coming forward. He's
consistently.
attacking, and doing a really good job of attacking. And so in the second entanglement, Jose actually gets knocked down. Jose's standing, passing, gets knocked down, has an open guard, and he's keeping Junny back. Junny's doing some really good Toriando style passes, pushing in, leaping around to the side.
I like Junny's nogi passing. It's really
great.
fun. It's like really dynamic. And he doesn't do that thing where he sits in your guard for like 15 minutes. Like he's actively like working to get around you, like pretty aggressively.
And so in order to retain guard, Jose again starts backing up, and he gets almost to the edge of the mat. His butt is still in the white portion of the mat, not in the barrier position. And there's a combination of Junny like pushing in and coming around to the side, and Jose sitting up, and Junny's able to capitalize off of this motion.
It's awesome. Like it almost looked like Jose was like ready for them to like restart the position, but Junny, the ref hadn't said anything. I don't think the ref had said anything from the audio I could hear.
They weren't.
And it looked like
they still had a good deal of margin left.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing indicating like they were going to go off.
But it looked like Jose was going to start to go, like, we're going to start and reset. And Junny was like, we're still, like, totally going. Locks, gets right into the back, not quite into the back mount, but starts to take the back. He locks that leg over for the triangle, and then you're like, we're still...
The big thing is that he gets, Junny gets a Kimura grip. And that is what seals the deal, gives him control, and now, they continue to kind of roll towards the edge of the mat where the staff have to keep them in bounds, and they're letting it go.
Yeah,
they're like,
in Fight to Win, they'll do the Japanese style for MMA, where it's like you got a bunch of Japanese guys pushing on you back into the ring, and
the moment
Fight to Win
you're
let
in
it go.
submission territory, which is like now this is where it's at.
Yeah.
Like Junny's starting to get serious,
and Junny does a good job, kind of like trying to drag them almost back out of the blue as much as he can.
Yep.
And then instead of like rolling over, he rolls to the armbar to the side that is in bounds on the mat, so that they don't ever have a chance to really start to go off. Maybe you have to do a positional reset, maybe you don't. So Ocasio does a really great job kind of controlling an edge of the mat position and capitalizing on it.
Yep.
And I thought about this match. So I saw this ending sequence. Do you want to talk about the ending sequence or?
Yeah, let's get into it.
No. So let's talk about the ending sequence, and I'll kind of bring this back to an earlier match from a couple of weeks ago that I thought I saw parallels in.
Yeah, so basically it's a Kimura grip, and Junny has like almost like a spider web position. It's more like the position you'd have if you were doing a bow and arrow choke, but in nogi.
Yeah, it's a really high back position.
It's a high back position.
And there's probably like a specific name for the position.
With the leg that's closest to the head, kind of like not over the head. In a traditional spider web.
Kind of like almost like he's almost in like a reverse triangle, sort of, but it's a really odd position to finish from. Really nifty finish sequence. I honestly wish there was a camera at like a slightly different angle, because for me it was just a little difficult to figure out exactly where everything was.
Yep.
But yeah, great finish. And again, another title defense for Ocasio. What is this, like 2 in a month?
Something like that.
He has a win over Cohen. I think he has a match between the Cohen match and this match. Then he has the win over Carlos Jose Lima.
Yep.
Jose Carlos Lima by sub. So 2 sub victories in a row at Bantamweight.
Beasting, man.
Who do you give him to fight?
I don't know.
You can't give him a meow because former teammates probably won't take that fight. I'm guessing, like, who do you give the guy?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's fun. Like, dude, Mogi
Bantamweight. There's a lot of good options here. At this weight class, do you think like Tanquinho makes it?
Tanquinho can't make 35.
He's looking a little thick. Yeah.
Yeah, he was walking around like 165 at ADCC, and like he was even then like significantly smaller. He was, and then 66 is 44, 145, something like that. Like he's not making 135.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, and the problem is like most of the guys we talk about very frequently at the black belt level are making 66.
Yep.
They're not making like 55.
Yeah.
Which is much closer to what Ocasio's fighting at. So
yep.
I'm curious. I need to go through the nogi rankings at bantamweight and see like who the contenders are, because dude's submitting his competition, like top level competition.
Yep.
At bantamweight, like maybe give him Mikey.
Yeah.
I'd watch the Musamechi match.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be a fun match in nogi.
That'd be dope.
So, so one parallel I want to talk about. I really like that Ocasio here is capitalizing on those when guys kind of agreed on not take a break, but like, oh, we're going to reset position. We saw the same thing from Gordon Ryan versus Matheus Diniz when Matheus Diniz went to pull out of a shin-to-shin sweep that Gordon was doing. He does a big spin, and Gordon comes up and finishes a takedown off of that. And like, I love that the guys, we're starting to see kind of the edge of the mat play. We're seeing grapplers not elect to just stop at the edge of the mat and to continue going until the referees are going like, hey, you should stop. And I really do appreciate that. I think it's better. I think we're hopefully going to see less like guys kind of messing with the edge of the mat if we see more stuff like this where it's like, cool, I'm going to capitalize on these resetting things and these edges of the mat. Like, it's going to get capitalized on versus we're both going to kind of agree to reset. So it was a cool little parallel that I saw.
Yeah.
Next match, what do you want to hit at?
We got Maria Malyjasiak defeating, actually knee-barring Nathiely de Jesus.
Dude,
this
it was a
fucking dope.
sub-filled, like,
Yeah, dude.
main card.
Yeah,
The
three
black belts
headlines.
What's up, Philly?
Yeah.
Get at me.
Really exciting. All really amazing matches and
And, really
submissions.
good. And again, stacked card, too. So it's not, that doesn't hurt either.
So this is a great match. Nathiely de Jesus coming in with a straight ankle lock attempt and comes up, is able to tech up off of this. And Maria does just the coolest, I don't even know what to call it. It's not exactly a sweep. It's just a setup for the submission. But
it's like an off balance.
It's
more
an
than
off balance,
anything.
yeah. It's a good off balance. There's a fucking Japanese word.
Kazushi.
Kazushi, there
Yeah,
you go.
the term in the judo term is kazushi, which is the off balancing before the throw.
Exactly. That's a good way of thinking about this because what she does is Maria has a collar grip with one arm and does and so she basically has like
It's funny in my head. It's throwing me off because they both have blue gis, and
They
so I'm like,
do.
okay, what hand is where here?
So Maria has sort of like a single leg X.
Yeah.
Right. And
on the bottom.
And in order to get that leg, because having a single leg X when the person is combat basing or standing up, sometimes it's a little hard to attack the leg that you are not reaping but close to reaping.
Yeah.
If
You're
you
putting the outside
if
knee
you
pressure
can't
on.
reap, it's hard to get the person to move it. Right.
Because people are super strong in that like forward-based position,
Right.
Which is specifically why you use the reap in those spots, because then you put the leg through, you turn the knee line. But if you can't turn the knee line because you're in the gi and you can't reap, then it's historically really, really difficult, especially with that collar grip there, because the person can square into you.
They can square up, exactly.
Yeah.
So here's what Maria does. She gets her own collar grip and yanks Nathiely down across her. So Nathalie's having to post on the mat. And then with her other arm, her hand is basically doing a one-armed toe hold.
Yeah.
And that is enough pressure to force Nathiely to turn away and does the...
Really just start to roll out
roll
of like
through, yeah.
toe hold, because she's now...
It does the action of the reap, right?
Yeah.
It forces the turn and
Because you're turning to get out of the toe hold, and because
Exactly.
now you've been slightly off balance, now the toe hold can go a little further. I don't want you to then be able to lock both hands up to the toe hold, and I have to defend it in earnest. So, cool, I'm going to do this roll in this position to escape the one-arm toe hold, because that's what you should be doing in there, especially when your posture's been broken and slightly over.
Yep.
So she does it.
Yep. And that's where Maria reads it, goes right into a knee bar, gets a really, really quick
I'm going to say,
finish.
right, it's like there's like two rolls here. She rolls twice, and then she's able to let go and transition off of the toe hold into the knee bar and just stop the rotation dead and finish the knee bar.
Yeah.
It is... We don't see, again, you talk about a lot of people and you hear it in classes a lot, okay, when they go to the toe hold, you transition the knee bar when they roll, but to actually see it in a high-level women's match in the gi, like, and how smooth her transition is to be able to go from the toe hold to get the knee line
And
in
to
place.
initiate it with a really clever sequence,
Yeah.
like that's...
That whole ending sequence is just like beautiful jiu-jitsu. It's like, okay, cool, I can't do this because of the rules, but I can off-balance you in this way. I'm going to show you this toe hold that you have to defend this way. I'm going to be ready for it. I'm going to shoot my hips through to get the distance I need on your knee. When you roll, I'm going to go through the second roll to adjust it more, and then I'm going to stop us in position and express on the knee bar. It's just...
It's great.
It's super beautiful technique. And,
Yeah.
And again, I got a thing for knee bars, so
yeah,
it was
it's-
awesome to see.
Watching jiu-jitsu like this is like what brings me joy in like watching it. It's
Yeah.
great to watch something and get a piece out of it and seeing like, oh, I like that.
Oh, that's super nifty. Yeah.
Yeah.
The off balancing there in the guard, especially when you can't reap, is really cool. We're seeing some really nifty sort of, which is funny. Oh no, fuck, we forgot news. IBJJF announces.
Oh my god. Yeah, that is.
It was such big news that I didn't even like write it down.
I know,
I was
me
like, yeah, we're
too.
not gonna forget that.
Oh my
Oh
god.
man, so it's my story at the end of the show will be in kind of why I'm so tired, which will make more sense.
Fucking heel hooks are now legal in the IBJJF.
Do you want to like pause this, throw it back in news, and then?
Well, we'll go through. We can record a section on it.
Okay.
Put it in the beginning, but Jesus Christ, yeah, I can't believe we both fucking forgot to mention this. Oh my god.
So
But yeah, IBJJF allowing heel hooks.
So great match. We'll talk about that. That'll be cut back into the beginning that you've already heard at this point in the show.
Yeah.
So let's keep going.
going.
We both had some big weeks, Emil.
Kyle Myers defeating Kyle Hughes via decision in the Battle of the Kyles. Drew Puzan defeats Sean Karn via armbar. Jason
Hold
Ra-
up. Maria Malyjasiak takes the Fight to Win welterweight championship in the gi for the women.
Yeah, in commanding fashion.
Yes.
Jason Rao defeats Basil Hafez via decision.
This is a really good match. This is really what a decision match on Fight to Win should look like. Rao is repeatedly entering on upper body submissions, lower body submissions from the guard. He'll sweep. He'll work from top position, but really he wants to be on the bottom. Rao gets this done with really just submission attempts. This is the kind of Fight to Win decision that I want to see.
Yeah. Nick Ronan defeats Dylan Royce via decision. Robbie De La Rionda defeats Myron Kamihara via decision. Daniel Tavares defeats Omar Kaji via decision. Dennis Pressey Jr. defeats Jordan Gomez via decision. Sarah Block defeats Tracy Goodell via decision.
On to the brown belts.
Alex Myers defeats Levi Mura via RNC. Joao Costa defeats Sean McClevery via decision. Zach Shiomos defeats Ben Paris via decision. Des McDonald defeats Thomas Selmara via decision.
I think we saw that match on SAGC before, by the way. I think Des replaced Josh when Josh had to pull out after he got the surgery. For some reason, I feel like that is the replacement match that we saw on SAGC like a year ago.
It sounds really familiar. Dylan Mazington defeats John Kemen via Bulldog choke.
When's the last time you saw a Bulldog choke, Emil?
It's funny that you mentioned that. Eric Naples defeats Justin
Wait,
Stabley.
hold up. We're going to blaze with a Bulldog choke. Go watch the highlight. It's on Instagram. It's everywhere. You don't see a Bulldog choke hit very often. It's really cool to see D-Boy like just squeeze. And it is one of the goonest looking chokes ever, and I love it, and you never see it. And shout out to some love for the Bulldog choke. Watch the highlight. Dude deserves it.
Speaking of rare submissions, Eric Naples submits Justin Stabley via Teepee choke.
Dude, this transition was mint.
This match is amazing. Eric Naples starts off the match with a flying triangle.
I got a good flying triangle too. Like it's nice height, gets good angle turned over on it where it's like, okay, I've got to really defend this actually.
Yep. Naples also had really beautiful passing.
Good leg lock attempts.
Gets to mount.
There's a really nice step over from mount. Again, I think Naples is a 35er or maybe I think he's gone as low at twice 25.
Yeah.
He does a really nice like low leg step over from the mount into the triangle where there's just no space created. It's cool to see because only 25ers and 35ers can ever make that transition anyway.
So mounted triangle rolls through to the triangle and then makes a really slick adjustment, goes to the teepee finish to get it. The last time that I can recall us covering a teepee choke was Josh Cisneros.
When Josh Cisneros was a purple belt, and then 3 weeks ago he just won Pans 2 weeks after getting his black belt.
Yeah, which is such a mind fuck.
Dude, it's crazy. It all comes full circle though. But the transition on this teepee choke is super nice. Like Naples just locks his hand, he changes his legs as he locks his hand in position, and then just squeezes, and it's like there's not a whole lot that Justin can do, and past the tap. But super. And watching this match kind of makes me want to start messing with the teepee choke again.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it just looks so tight and so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, that's my kind of jiu-jitsu. And so, yeah, props to him. Teepee choke.
Naples has been, like, super entertaining to watch.
Yeah, we've commentated a couple of his matches at this point for SAGC.
Always really exciting grappler, yeah. So
pushes out a good pace, so it's cool to see him. We've been covering him since Purple in the local scene, so it's cool to see him getting a win at Brown.
Purple belts. Paul Barboli defeats Tom Anderson via decision. Caleb Livingston defeats Christopher Browse via decision. Charlie Livingston defeats John Robinson via decision. Kirk Brenneman defeats Alec McPhee via collar choke. Vincent Oristaglio defeats George Strunk via decision. Laura Griffith defeats Eve Isaacs via heel hook. Steve Joachim defeats John Falloon via rear naked choke. AJ Dasani defeats James Mullen via heel hook. Catherine Marino defeats Maria Pachetta via decision. Catherine Malaris defeats Lauren Strausser via guillotine.
On to the blue belt results.
Max Livingston defeats Phil Abbott via decision. Nick Machani defeats Colin Cronin via heel hook. And Justin Pack defeats Sid Tavarolo via decision.
Via armbar.
Arm triangle.
So that does it for results of Fight to Win 154. Dude, really fun main card. Some really great matches. They're all up. Again, we don't have to say that anymore. They're all up on Flow Grappling because that didn't used to be the case like years ago when we were covering. Now it's like day one immediately. They're up. You can go watch the matches.
Split by matches now, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, like next day. Usually like when I'm ever watching replays now, I can just there it is, and it's such a better viewing experience.
Yeah.
So super happy for that.
For those of you who, this is worth reiterating, for those of you who don't have Flow, they are now putting the individual matches up, not the whole Fight to Win.
Well, they're doing the whole thing too, which I like because I can put it on in the background a lot of times when I just want to watch a couple fights.
Right.
You can watch the whole show again,
or
which
if
is
you
cool.
just want to watch the headlines, watch that. You could just click on it. Boom. That's
and
it.
The searching is getting a little better. Like they're putting effort into making the site more usable, getting the videos up, and they've made big improvements over the last couple of years. So if you don't have Flow and you're considering it, it really has become a great resource to watch. And there's also the libraries of footage that they have now. You can go back and watch a bunch of guys. I'm guessing, honestly, and this is kind of a conspiracy theory. Not conspiracy theory. This is just my theory. Given with how they've changed the results and they are doing like grapplers to watch on upcoming shows for if you click on an event that has not happened yet, you can click at grapplers to watch. They look like they have like profiles of athletes there. What I'm guessing they're going to do soon is make it so that the results are then clickable and you can click onto an athlete's information and watch a bunch of matches from that athlete, which would be kind of like what Fight Pass does and has done for years and years and years. I would be super excited for that functionality because then we can click on a grappler and you can see all of their matches that have been on Flow.
Yeah.
That'd be super helpful for me to go through and do tape study on grapplers. So I'm hoping that they do that in the future because that would be an outstanding resource for us to cover BJJ.
Yeah.
So what do you want to start with next?
Let's see. We can preview 155 or let's preview 155.
Let's preview 155. So moving on to the preview of Fight to Win 155. This one is Nogi World Champion Patty Fontes versus Grace Gundrum is the main event.
Sweet.
What do you think about this one? We saw Patty, was it 2 weeks ago? No, we saw her last week at Pans. She fought Maisa Bastos in the finals. Bastos finished a really, really good, I think it was a head and arm choke from the mount. Last week, Patty Fontes, I believe, is the current flyweight champion at Fight to Win. If not, has been a previous title holder at Fight to Win a couple of times now.
We've seen Grace Gundrum tear through.
Black belt now.
Yeah.
Now black belt. It's in Nogi. We saw her look really good versus Rokako Yuasa, who is the roosterweight, perennial champion for forever. I'm really interested to see how this match looks. Again, we just haven't been able to cover Grace a ton recently, but every time we do, we see more wrinkles in her game and her, she's been going up against adult female competition for at least 3 or 4 years now at this point. How do you see it going?
I see Grace, but heel hook.
Kind of, yeah. That's sort of what I think too. I'm curious to see if Patty can maintain a really, really good positional dominance, but I just feel like Grace will be entering into a lot of stuff.
Yep.
And especially in the Fight to Win rule set.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that if Fontes will be able to put up the offense that she needs versus someone that is sort of so submission hungry like Grace. We haven't seen Grace throw a hugely quick pace, but she can definitely enter into stuff when she has the opportunity.
It's dangerous too what she does. So
that's kind of why I want to pick either Grace by a sub or by decision, although I could see Patty kind of pulling the veteran card and going, yeah, I'm going to lock you down. And like slowly, I just don't know how much she'll be able to do that versus Grace.
Yep.
So also on this card, we have we were gonna have Lovato versus Jake Watson, and that fight has actually moved now, and Lovato has been replaced with Matheus Luna. So we talk about Watson a lot. We've watched Watson take on a bunch of people over the last couple of years, most notably Rolando Jr. He had a really good decision victory over him. Really dynamic lapel game. I kind of curious. We saw Watson also last week on Pans. Wasn't able to make it to the finals. But, again, I'm really high on Watson, and I do like his style for fight to win. Again, Matheus Luna, I could see really, again, slowing him down. But I'm curious to see if Watson can get his lapel game going and get underneath Matheus, like how he's going to do. This one's a really hard one for me to call, but it should be interesting. Any kind of thoughts for you, Emil?
I can't call this one.
Yep. Also on this card, who else we got?
Devontae Johnson versus Vinicius Ferreira. That's good.
Trator?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a good matchup. What do you think? We saw Devontae at Pans last week. Looked good. I think he took, was it fourth or third? He took third, I think, in the division.
Was it Devontae like 4 weeks ago we saw just go completely fucking beast mode? I'm trying to remember.
Subversive, we saw him go beast mode.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and that was probably that was almost 2 months ago at this point. They've announced another Subversive card.
He looked monstrous.
Yeah. He looked monstrous. Dude, I saw Devontae backstage at one of the Baltimore cards at the UMBC Arena, and Devontae is yelling to himself, like to hype himself up before the match, and I went like, oh no, he was a brown belt.
I know we've seen Trator like absolutely dictate matches before, but that
2019 ADCC silver medalist.
Yeah, that mentality that Devontae has is like, I was so impressed by like that performance at Subversive.
Yeah,
I'm almost just like,
I
know it's a single performance, but like, God damn,
this is a really fun match because both guys have like a host of just super, super impressive performances, but both have had like little issues here and there with certain matchups and certain grapplers where they've looked like good, but definitely like had an issue here or there. And so that's what I'm super curious because both guys have something, and both guys are like smart and will study tape and like prepare effectively. I'm curious to see. Also, I do not know if this is gi or no gi, and that kind of makes me annoyed. I'm gonna guess it's gi, but I also have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, if it's gi, I could definitely see Trator kind of dictating the pace of the match,
Trator is notoriously just like a tank of a human, but again, so is Devontae. Devontae's also like just notoriously like wicked strong.
But what impressed me about Devontae was like his motion, like his movement and passing back takes off of that match. So
yeah, super dynamic. But Trator is like also, this is such a stupid match for me because I'm like, well, I see the pathway to victory for both guys.
Yeah,
I also like really like covering both guys. So I'm like, I don't really want to pick against either one.
Yeah, no, it's impossible. It's going to be a good match, certainly. So
should be a really, really fun matchup. I think actually Weinstock also has a matchup on this card.
Yeah,
Josh Weinstock of Grappling Rewind fame.
That's right.
I forgot he texted me his opponent. I have since forgotten. So sorry, Josh. Look out for. Actually, he's on the black belts now. This will be Josh's second match as a black belt on Fight to Win.
Sweet.
So cool. I think this takes place in Philly, so it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, Josh can get some backstage content for us so we can post. I have not talked to Josh about this yet, but I will see if I can get him to go and do that. So also this week, or also next week, will be Quintet Fight Night 5. If you don't know what the Quintets are, go listen to any of our other shows. We talk about Quintet. We speak very highly of Quintet. The Fight Nights are typically a lower weight cap. So if you don't know, it's a team battle format. There's 4 teams of 5 grapplers. Winner stays on. Basically, you are losing until you win. You have to submit the opponent in front of you. If you submit them, they leave. You stay on. You fight the next member of the team. First team, you eliminate the other team. Your team wins and moves on to the finals versus the other team that did the same thing to the prior team. The weight limit for this, I don't know what it is, but all the guys sit around
like
70. Oh yeah, 350 looks like is the weight is 350 kilograms. I think
is for the team weight.
I think it's usually like 700 or something like that for.
So these are lighter
like
weight.
500 or something. Yeah. So it's
Just looking at these fighters, they're ranging in the 60s and 70s of kilograms.
So it's a lighter weight. They're dope. It's a lot of fun. I want to read through the teams, or I'm going to do the names.
I'm going to do them. Team Carpe Diem, we have Misanori Iwasaki, Sarah Tomoshige, Daisuke Shiraki, Tomoyuki Hashimoto, who we've covered before.
A bunch. We've also covered like Sergei Tomoshige as well, and Iwasaki. We've covered all these guys, but we've covered Tomoyuki a ton on like majors, and he's always placing really high. I think it either light feather or rooster.
Yep.
Always a contender, always a podium placer in those divisions.
And then we have Masaki Takeura.
I also think it's really funny that if you go to the Quintet website, all of the ages are listed out in numbers, and his is listed in letters.
Yeah, weird.
It's also probably a translation issue because I'm translating this from Japanese into English.
Next up, we have Tokoro Plus Alpha Second.
Yeah. I think it's a Japanese brand.
Cool.
And Josh will be screaming at us because he knows Josh is into the Japanese stuff much more than Emil and I are.
We have Hideo Tokoro, who
Been
we've
on
covered
Quintet
a bunch.
before.
Masakazu Imanari, who is a fucking legend.
And we love him. Because he rips guys' legs off, and it's good to watch.
Naoyuki Kotani, Daisuke Nakamura, who we've covered a bunch as well. Masanori Kanehara.
We've also covered a bunch before. But again, I think all of these guys at one point have been on Quintet before. These are all names that I recognize from previous Quintets.
Team Wolf, we have Michihiro Omigawa, Seichiro Ito, Shinji Morito, Grant Bogdanov.
The only American on any of the 5 teams.
Masato Uchishiba.
Mm-hmm.
And Team 100, we have Kao Uno, Kohei Yasumi, Shomi Higuchi, Kenshi Ito, and Sagai Toshiyasu. And I think the heaviest weight that I saw was 78 kilograms.
I saw 77, and I think there's one. Yeah, Daisuke Nakamura is 78 kilograms.
That's the heaviest. So pretty light competition.
Yeah. So basically, the heaviest guy is you're under 77 is basically like JT Torres.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
So, all right.
We also have a couple of special matches, which are super fight matches.
Do it.
We have Hassan Rita versus Igor the Fat Ninja Tanabe. So we actually saw this match before on a Quintet, and it resulted in a double DQ for inactivity. So this is one that I kind of don't understand why we're going to do this one as a super. There's only 2 super fights on the card. The other one is Kazushi Sakuraba versus Tasuke Shugira. I don't know why this is the other super fight of the card. I like Quintet. Their matches are a lot of fun. This one just doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because we've seen very few double disqualification matches for inactivity, and this is the most high profile of those matches. Maybe they're going to give him another shot.
Yeah. I think they just it's the Japanese. They like freak shows.
Yeah, and we have a Brazilian versus an Angolan, which I think, is cool. But Hassan Reed is a black belt now out of Carpe Diem. I think Igor Tanabe, he was a purple belt. I think he might be a brown belt now. Wouldn't surprise me. I hope this match is more action-packed than their first match. I assume being a super fight, it will be, because there was potentially some incentive for both guys to draw because they were on teams the first matchup. Also, these guys supposedly have fought each other earlier in the week at a different event. I forget, it kills me because there was basically 3 days before these guys have a super fight against each other, and then on Quintet they have a super fight against each other as well. And I forgot there's another promotion that's having super fights that has these guys as a matchup. So I don't really know what's going on, but these guys are going to fight a couple times at least. And then we have Sakuraba doing Sakuraba. That will probably be a joke match, is what I'm guessing, but they are kind of entertaining to watch. But we probably won't cover it on the show. Depending on when this show happens, we either may cover it next week or we'll probably cover it the week following, just given the timing of the event. Because it's very possible that it could be happening when we are recording or basically directly after we are recording the show next week. So we wanted to get it out so that we had talked about it and so you would know to watch it because quintets are always super fun. I don't miss a quintet. I've not missed a quintet. I've not missed any event, but I specifically don't miss quintets because they are hot fire. So also happening this week is Fight League Atlantic. They're having a pay-per-view with a bunch of Canadian talent. So Fight League Atlantic historically has a bunch of MMA shows. They're branching out into grappling and basically featuring a ton of Japanese talent. They have a pay-per-view that you guys can get on their website. Support Canadian talent. Should be fun as well. I think that's all I have now. I think we should probably cut now. Talk about the heel hooks being added for IBJJF, and then lead into the outro. Anything else?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do that. All right, so moving into the outro section, like we promised, Emil, do you want to go first with your story, or do you want to go first with my story? My story involves me duck hunting at 2:30 in the morning.
Wait, was that this morning?
No, that was not this morning.
Okay.
That was on Saturday morning. I got up at 2:30 in the morning, and my buddy, we had reservations at a place, like a special place, to go hunt ducks. Never been duck hunting before. I don't like mornings, by the way. If you don't know me, I do not.
That's not even a fucking morning. 2:30.
Dude, I went to bed at midnight or like 11:45, and then got up at 2 a.m. to get in his truck at 2:25 in the morning to drive 2 hours to then paddle, to put a canoe in the water in pitch black in this beautiful like reserve area, and then paddle 1.5 miles at 4 a.m. under a completely like open sky with no clouds and just stars in the middle of Eastern or somewhere in Maryland. I was very tired. I don't know where we went. He just drove me to a place and we put a boat in. And then we like set up, and you got to watch the sunrise over this marshy area. And then we got to hunt, I was going to say pigeons, ducks. And it was just, honestly, I hate mornings more than probably anyone you know. I hate them. I don't like doing them. It was a pretty unique experience. It was cool. I would do it again. 2:30 is very early in the morning.
Did you get a duck?
I got a couple ducks.
Shit.
I limited out on... Oh, God, I'm going to keep blanking the names. The good tasty duck.
I have no idea.
The greenhead duck. Oh my God, I'm gonna blank on what it starts with an M.
Mallard?
Mallards. Thank you. Yes, I limited out on mallards.
I didn't know those were good tasting ducks.
Apparently they're delicious. I have them in the fridge still. We've got them cleaned, and I've got to like go and do the fire thing to the duck to get the rest of the whatever that is, that process is called. I got to flange it or something.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I've got to do that, and then I'm going to prepare it, and I'm very excited.
Shit.
It was a fantastic experience, and I contributed and bought all the duck stamps and all the stuff, so it was like...
Sweet.
It was awesome, and like, honestly... paddling through a marshland and like a giant like open tributary at 4 a.m. under a completely, we had all our headlamps off, and we were just paddling this canoe in a completely pitch black and just super bright stars was a pretty unique experience. Like it's probably one of the best things that's happened in 2020. It was
sweet.
It was pretty fucking cool.
Nice.
How was your week, Emil?
Kind of shitty and good, all things considered. But I had my wisdom teeth removed.
That sucks. How many do you have?
How many what?
How many wisdom teeth did you have?
I had all 4 of them. They came in fine.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's just they were like, it's a pain in the ass to clean them when they were like super like they weren't compacted, but whatever. Anyway, dentist was like, you should get these removed.
And this was like, chop them out, buddy. And you were like,
sure,
I got insurance. Let's do it.
So fucking the dental surgeon was like, we're going to put you under for this. And I was like, I'm so on board with this. I do not need to be awake.
I don't want to be awake when you're chipping. Yeah, dude, I went to sleep for mine. Would recommend. 10 out of 10 would be asleep again when they're chipping these things out of mine. Impacted.
I totally agree. Except that I fucking woke up during
the procedure?
Yeah. So like I felt
you
like
woke up out of anesthesia during chipping teeth out of your skull.
Yeah.
This sounds like a terrible weekend, Emil.
Yeah. And you're making like a chiseling motion, and that's exactly what woke me up. Was like I felt them chiseling, and I was like, I was like, my eyes were still closed, and I was like, I can feel you hammering, like, you know,
my face
right.
And the bones in my face and the mouth bones, the mouth stones that are in my face.
And so, you know, it wasn't painful, and I wasn't like.
Did you say something?
Yeah, I said.
Okay, making sure. Like I thought you just dealt with that.
Well,
like,
I said something, and like, you know,
Is that common?
I ended up looking this up, but like
a TIO
so the
Reddit
whole thing,
post.
I was like, I don't know. Like I woke up afterwards, and I was like, did that happen? Like I was kind of like out of it, and I was in the like waiting room while they're kind of like waiting for the effects to completely wear off and you to be able to walk on your own. And my girlfriend was there like to pick me up, and the dental surgeon comes in, and this whole time I'm like, did that happen? Did I remember that? All right. He comes in and he's like, yeah, so just so you know, like we do have to chisel. It's not uncommon that we have to like chisel those, like answering the like, and I was like, oh yeah, that definitely did happen. Okay, yeah, I did fucking wake up.
It's not uncommon that we have to chisel. You're like, yeah, I was there for that.
I know,
me.
yeah, I remember.
I remember. We were both there.
Right. So.
Well, how often is that? How like frequent is that?
I looked it up, and like under general anesthesia, they say it's like around 1 in 1,000. So it's not actually that uncommon.
Okay, now you say that like 1 in 1,000 is common, Emil. That's super uncommon.
Wait.
1 in 1,000 is relatively uncommon.
That's 1 in 1,000 for like full blown like.
Like I woke
don't know
up
the
during a
differences.
procedure.
I don't know all the differences between like the kinds of anesthesia. I do know that this was an IV anesthesia. I do know that there are some anesthesias that they give you to put you unconscious, but it's like more light.
Yeah, I've done that before.
They'll
for
do that
procedures.
they'll do that for things like colonoscopies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this was like one of the lighter ones. I have no idea.
I don't remember. I woke up a little bit during all when they were tubing me and looking at me for stuff.
Yeah.
Long story for another time. Did not wake up during wisdom teeth. Very happy about that.
Yeah.
Don't get a dry socket. I was awake for that one. 1 out of 10 would not recommend. Yeah. One of the worst medical procedures I've ever had, Emil. Drink broth for the next week.
I know.
Do not get a dry socket. It was the worst medical procedure. Dude, I've broken bones. I've got giant scars on my skull and my face. Like, that's still getting the dry socket fixed. Hands down, no comparison. Like, I flipped a bike in Boston. I was in the hospital for like 8 hours with like everything broken. Still would take that over dry socket.
Yeah, that's literally the only annoyance that I have right now because I feel comfortable, whatever.
Yeah, you're not swelled up at all.
No, yeah, even afterwards, and I haven't needed. I took ibuprofen the day of, and then that's basically.
Did you get like a T-shirt? Like, I woke up out of anesthesia. Like,
I should. I know.
Fuck. I feel like you need to win something. Like 1 in 1,000. Those odds are pretty good.
The only thing that sucks is
you woke up during anesthesia.
No, I mean that's neither here nor there. I'm not like super worried about it, but like the broth thing is fucking killing me.
Oh, that's all you can eat?
Yeah, I'm just like, I want to eat some fucking regular food, and everything that I've heard about dry socket is that it's fucking terrible, and you want to avoid it.
It's really, really bad.
Yeah.
I did everything correctly and still got it.
Yep.
1 out of 10. Like, literally, like, I'm always like joking about like, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. Like, it's a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
It would not do again. Like,
yep.
No.
Yeah. So that's aside from that fucking awfulness that I'm worrying about, that's it. I'm otherwise good, so.
You woke up out of anesthesia, Emil.
Yeah, dude.
So, I have nothing. I'm glad I went my story first because I can't top that. Look at my beautiful vista in the morning or early. You're like, yeah, I woke up during anesthesia. I'm like, all right. That's a trump card there. Yeah. Beat me on that one. Anything else, Emil? Anything else?
No,
your week couldn't have really been any worse than that after.
Yeah, no.
I woke up during anesthesia. What else happened? I got hit by a train, but like, it's pretty fine after that. So, you got anything else?
No.
All right, that does it. So, as always, I've been Maine.
I've been Emil.
And this is the Grappling Rewind podcast. I did that out of order. I'm still very tired from that. See you on the mats. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.